Today's video is all about EstateX. Their vision, a world where real estate is simple, affordable, and accessible to all. Today, we're going to be doing a deep dive into this project, looking into some of the fundamentals, such as the team, the tokenomics, the utility, and the overall value proposition, trying to figure out whether this project has what it takes to make it to our portfolio. So, you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunity. And the question is EstateX an opportunity? Guys, today we're going to be doing a deep dive. We're going to be looking into this project, obviously taking a retail perspective, trying to figure out some of its overall value propositions. Does it make it to our portfolio? Ultimately, we're going to be looking at the website as our main platform, the white papers, and all the available documentation provided by the team so that we can have transparency and ultimately make some critical decisions. Okay, guys, and just a reminder, we're taking a retail perspective. The perspective of which, the majority of newcomers coming in, they're going to be looking for, new ways to gain exposure to the crypto space and, some new narratives, some new implementations. But however, we have to ensure that the information provided is going to be nice and transparent and give them that confidence to deploy capital. Okay, so let's begin. We're going to use the website. So this is the website landing page. Is pretty cool, nice and neat, pretty much. We got lots of little details that give us an understanding of what the project is all about. We can see Base, we see Solana, we see our ESX token is now live and trading, which is interesting. Join the wait list. Okay, a little bit of a wait list happening there. And unleash the power of real estate. Pretty much sums it up, right? Like, what else could we expect? Just by reading that, we understand that we're probably tokenizing real estate. Their vision is, pretty much clear. A world where real estate is simple, affordable, and accessible to all. This is something that we've seen with projects trying to tokenize real estate, real world assets, obviously within that narrative. And EstateX is another competitor, which is quite interesting. All right, let's move on. We have EstateX is more than the platform. It's a revolution in the real estate industry. Our unique approach is tokenized, democratizes access to real estate investments. So pretty much that, the democracy essentially means that tokenization allows multiple players to get involved and, they are able to vote on certain aspects with regards to its ownership and so on, allowing you to enjoy increased liquidity, lower investment minimums. So reducing that friction or that, being priced out of the real estate market is very, very real for many individuals, and being able to own a fraction of a property makes things a little bit easy in the sense that you don't get priced out of the market. Okay, and the freedom to diversify your portfolio like never before. So pretty interesting. Okay, so this is again a value proposition that we've seen across the market recently, and obviously EstateX is playing the game within that narrative. USAtoday.com, Forbes. Okay, we're seeing them. They have a bit of exposure, marketing exposure there, which is always good. Let's see, tailor-made for benefits for you. No matter the background or goal, EstateX has something for you. We offer you unique benefits tailored to retail investors, property owners, and financial institutions. So there's a few SKUs here, and you can see that you can get some information like this one. The retail investor is quite easy, right? Lower investment minimums, like I mentioned. If you want to go own a portion of an estate of some sort, it's easy to access that entry to that asset. Property owners, you can see that tokenizing your asset and basically if you're an owner of a property, you can tokenize that property and allow the individuals to own a piece of that property based on the tokenization. Releasing cash flow on just part of an asset. Okay, so that obviously gives you that capability. And as we go down, you see financial institutions. This is where things get a little bit interesting. They try to get very creative here, which is great. Tokenize your assets and raise liquidity through the EstateX community. Releasing cash flow on just part of an asset, leveraging your assets by accessing our liquidity solution. So interesting stuff here overall. So it's a very simple idea, but it's a very lucrative idea. If this works, like if we've seen a lot of projects thinking about this, and from different parts of the world, Europe and Middle East, Dubai specifically, this is very common as well. A lot of different crypto projects are trying to achieve very similar goals. So I can see that they're trying to, jump on this trend, which is great, which is good because there's some liquidity to be had there. There's no first mover advantage just yet within this narrative, the sub narrative of real world assets, which is good. Okay, so there's some liquidity to be shared here, in my opinion. The EstateX ecosystem. So the ecosystem is quite diverse. There's a lot happening right now, as you can see as this scrolls through. It's very valid. Okay, that these are their intentions to have all these various use cases in an ecosystem. Why I say use cases, because the tokens are going to have greater utility as the ecosystem grows. And I can say this, that the ecosystem sounds great, right? But it's, in my opinion, it's still very in speculation, given that a lot of this is not active. Okay, so it's everything is basically on a wait list. So we're still in speculation with regards to what EstateX does and what it could do. However, the roadmap is there, and we'll talk about that in a second. The documentation is there, but it definitely, we got to talk about documentation in a second, because I think this is where EstateX could definitely make some major improvements, because there's a lot of missing information and a lot of ambiguity, and we'll talk about that in a second. Let's continue going down. EstateX Pay, real estate investments in your pocket. So again, that ease of use and that ability to gain access to these financial services is great, and you can see turn your investments into fiat very easily, pay in seconds, and pay for everyday goods using EstateX Pay, part of its ecosystem. Okay, so liquidity, making your investments liquid as fiat. Okay, so this is one of the main value propositions. Now, EstateX secures a Microsoft grant, which is great. This is an awesome thing. I'm just going to let you know, this is not a partnership, right? So this is a very, very something that I focus on significantly within this space, because I see a lot of logos often, very often, over 100 deep dives. I've done this many, many times, and I've seen a lot of logos floating around that are not lucrative strategic partnerships. This is not a strategic partnership at all. This is great. It's awesome that they were able to secure a grant with Microsoft. Whether you find that bullish or not, that's up to you to make your decision. But ultimately, it's great that they were able to achieve that. So good stuff there. Out of 1 out of 400 applicants, which is awesome stuff. Okay, so kudos to them for that. But it's not a partnership. Okay, so our trusted partners, the fact that Microsoft is there bothers me. And then what it really does is it really reduces my the credibility with all these other logos. Like, there's a lot of logos here, guys. Like, am I going to go through all of them, every single one? It's tough. Like, you can see a few of them. Like, definitely VCs and different things. Again, Microsoft, the ventures. Whenever I see ventures, I see venture capitalists. I see VCs and all that, blockchain law. So maybe a bit of a law partnership there, or relationship. So what I really would like to see, and this is something that I say, and I give a lot of projects a lot of kudos for, if they make these logos clickable and explain what these relationships are about, and especially if you have a blog. Like, EstateX does have a Medium blog that they don't use. There's no posts, very few posts there, over a year of not posting. That would be a great implementation of, being able to explain what some of these relationships are all about in detail. Like, how are they strategic? How are they going to help EstateX? How is EstateX helping, for example, Tencent or whatever? Like, how is it a relationship? A relationship goes two ways, where they work together to get things done. And I really can't see that. And there are other logos on their deck that I want to talk about in a second. Don't just take our word for it. See what others are saying about it. Okay, this is another thing that bothers me, because a lot of these publications, I'm not saying that they're paid for, but they can be. They can be paid for. And this is a problem, because although these are really, really good, and I'm sure they're clickable. Let's see, Yahoo Finance. which if you get there and you get access to the Yahoo Finance, you know what I mean, which is pretty good. EstateX, and you definitely have a little bit of information. They're featured here. I just would like to know who wrote the story, and so on. And this is great publicity overall. Okay, so this is positive, a 5-minute read, easy publicity, and great for the project in general. But yeah, pretty good. Giving back with EstateX, so some information here with regards to their partnered with She Read Foundation to empower fostering teenagers with passive income, real estate, financial literacy, and education. This is good. This is a non-for-profit scenario right here. Okay, so this is good. This is going to give them a little bit of that exposure and that good faith, that good scenario, that goodness that a lot of projects are looking for. So this is good. We've seen this in the previous cycle quite a bit, and they kind of die down when we see projects kind of do this type of thing, which I kind of like. I kind of see this coming back again, and it's not bad. Their implementation, I think, is quite interesting. It's testimonials and endorsements. I don't know what to say about this. This looks pretty cool, I guess. They're not really polished, but it's candid, and that's sometimes much better than polished. So pretty good if this is all valid. Continue going forward. Frequently asked questions. We always have questions, and I'm glad to see this section here on the website. As of now, the website is done on point. It's a really good website. Very nice, very clean. Good schematics. No issues. What is EstateX? Let's see. You can see a little bit of information there. We're just starting out. Our seasoned investors, property owners, EstateX main hub for our managing our needs. Pretty good. How does it work? We'll talk about that just a little bit. So the main thing is that it is simple. You set up your account in minutes and instantly start investing into real estate. We tokenize real estate to make it accessible to everyone while keeping the financial returns that make real estate attractive. In simple words, create your account, go to the property of your choice, and start investing. Okay, so again, pretty easy, a bit repetitive, but that's what it is. What is Estate powered by? And this is cutting edge blockchain technology designed for speed, security, and scalability. Okay, so this is where things are not really happening just yet, because their ecosystem is not there yet. This is all in speculation, like I mentioned. So the token utility is in speculation. What is the token going to be used for? It's not used for anything at the current moment because their actual ecosystem is not active. Okay, so this is where we're early, super early. Now, again, this is an opportunity. If you feel like this is bullish and this is interesting to you, you're early, guys. This is what I'm saying. But again, we got to go through the details and you make your decisions. Well, let's see what else we got here. Ready to start your journey? Sign up. You sign up, and I'm sure there's full KYC with regards to this. We're talking about real world assets, real estate, all of this. There's going to be full KYC. I'm expecting it. I don't see anything really clearly here, but I am expecting it. Okay. As we conclude the website, you can see there's some great indications. You do see a lot of links. Good stuff here to wrap up a page, which I've seen many times. And then, of course, the links, the social links, guys. Great stuff. We have LinkedIn, which means the team is fully doxed. We got some YouTube, and of course Instagram, given that it is real estate. I would expect that there. I didn't go on their Instagram account yet, but I'm sure it's great. And their Telegram is there, and their Discord is there but not there. Okay, so we'll talk about socials in a second. Let's talk more about what the project is and overall what data they have available to us. So let's go right into here. If you can see the ecosystem, these are some of the key aspects. LaunchX, EstateX Pay. Okay, so this is important to understand that these, as you notice, as I scroll, they're just describing what it is. It's not active. Sign up now. There's nothing yet in action. So you're going to learn about what the future is, which is good. That's fine. And of course their roadmap has to be well defined. My only issues with a lot of their documentation, particularly their official documentation, it's not really there. Okay, there's no real white paper. They have a white paper, quote unquote white paper, but I've never seen a white paper like that before. And again, I've done deep dives, over 100 of them in the last couple of years, and I've never seen a deep dive written like that. It's not a deep dive. I don't know what it is. Again, I'll show you what it looks like, but it's not a typical crypto deep dive. When you're looking at projects, I would say, I would have expected a little bit more detail there, and more of a format that looks typical, so that way there's less friction when you're doing research, particularly, like I said, the retail investor. You don't want any friction whatsoever. How does it work? You're seeing that there's a whole ecosystem of different things, and I would definitely read through this. If you see there's an estate university, which I find cool, if you want to learn about real estate and so on. Learning is a core pillar of EstateX, and that's where our university comes in with comprehensive courses covering real estate, finance, and crypto. We ensure that a community is well equipped with navigating or to navigate the digital asset landscape. Good stuff. I like that. That's pretty good. As an individual here in this space, in the crypto space, I will agree. Learning is a core pillar. So again, deep dives, researching, learning, and learning is going to empower you to make critical decisions. So kudos to them for providing this and reinforcing the importance of knowledge. EstateX World, and this is again moving forward, launching soon. A lot of this is launching soon. None of this is really active at the current moment. Okay, guys. So just understand that, and that's the journey. So if you want to know more about all of this, I would suggest you spend a little bit of time in doing some more research, because there's some information here. Unlocking the potential of your assets with capital X. This product allows institutions and retail investors to utilize their Prop X tokens as collateral for loans, offering a new avenue of portfolio expansion and financial flexibility. So it's a dual token system where Prop X tokens are collateral for loans. Okay, so you can get a loan using a prop X. Okay, so that's pretty much it. And you got tokenize X, transform your property assets into digital tokens with tokenize X. The language is interesting. I think it's a little bit heavy, language heavy, but that's fine. Ultimately, this is it, where this is where you're going to do the majority of your learning with regards to its ecosystem. Okay, so it's pretty cool. You're given a lot of the tools, a one-stop shop place to get involved with real estate here in Web3. Okay, so remember, the key is Web3. Okay, that's what we're talking about. Now, this is the team. I'm going to slowly transition into the team. We got these are the two visionaries, the CEOs, the two individuals that started it all up. We'll talk about the team in a little bit more detail in a second. Limelight, okay, we talked about some of these individuals, these advertisements on socials, and these are the individuals. I did take some time to look into them. There's some talent here, no doubt. Of course, and I see it like a very young team. I see a team that could have or should have a little bit more experience to make a major impact. And we're going to talk about all of this in a second. We're going to get into the LinkedIn's, and we're going to look at what they're bringing to the table, because super important. Now, this is what they call a white paper. And I'm just going to let you know, this is not a typical white paper. I don't even know what it is, to be honest. It's like a glossary of some sort. It's very hard to do research on something like this, because it doesn't give you very valid information, to the point that a lot of this doesn't even exist or is outdated. Okay, so there's information about them even being launched on Binance Smart Chain or BNB Chain, which is not the case. They decided to pivot and not launch it on BNB Chain. It just shows you that this documentation, it can't be trusted because it's outdated. And not only that, it's not a format that makes any sense, to be honest. Like, it needs to be revisited. Their communications here need to be completely overhauled. There's nothing here that can really give me that much detail to make me confident about what's being said here, given that there's a lot of outdated information. Okay, so, like, again, I'm trying to be honest. I'm trying to be real with what I'm seeing here. If this is a white paper, this needs to be redone and reconfigured, because it's not a white paper. Let's move on. This pitch deck is quite interesting. I want to spend some time here. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit more without cropping too much here. I think we're good. Okay, this is pretty good. We're talking about this dude right here. The vision about real estate, or real world assets. Obviously, real world assets is going to be a big thing, guys. There's no dispute. Okay, there's no dispute, and it's very likely that we're going to see a lot of assets being governed on chain. I don't think anybody here in this space, that's here in Web3, can say otherwise. Okay, so they are definitely within a space within the market that has potential. So let's move on. So dual token system, a property, prop X, and a payment with utility token ESX. So just understand that ESX is the token that I'm covering here today. It is going to be a token that is like the gas. Okay, it's the utility token, where Proc X is the property token. Okay, so it requires a different deep dive, in my opinion, because Prop X utility is different than ESX, and of course, dual token systems usually don't work, but in this case, I can imagine that it would be fine, given that it's used as collateral. And when you're talking about real estate, I understand why you would need a token for collateral while still having a token for gas, which I think it's a fine decision. Let's move on now. Strategic partners, guys. Let's spend some time here. Look, I'm not a fan about these types of scenarios at all. I just want you yourself should be doing a bit more research. Obviously, I'm going to introduce you to some of the facts here. We have a lot of calls here, a lot of influencers. In fact, I think that some of them are not even listed that are also on board. Okay, so we have to understand that this could be a positive, it could be a negative. This is up to you to make these critical decisions. These are influencers. These are people with thousands of followers. These are people that could definitely influence the market. Okay, so if you think that's a valuable thing, then this is a bonus. If you think that these individuals are not an ideal scenario, given that their influential power that they have on socials could affect price, then you have some critical thinking to do here, because it definitely is important. When you're thinking about calls, you're thinking almost like VCs. Okay, they're very similar. All right, they're thinking about almost like venture capitalists here, right? Coles, they may say that they're not here as venture capitalists, but at the end of the day, the capital that they provide, even if it's not actual dollars and cents, the capital that they provide is human capital. Okay, and their capital is an investment to the team, into the project, and ultimately they will want reward for that. And their reward ultimately is going to want to be the most liquid asset out there, and usually it's dollars. Okay, we got to be real, or Bitcoin, or whatever it is. But ultimately, with a project like EstateX being so new, we have to be really real. Is Mario Nawfal going to hold EstateX to the bitter end, or is he, going to sell and try to look for liquidity somewhere else? Guys, again, that's a critical decision. Now, this dude is a heavyweight with, stablecoin, USDT. Of course, it could be a positive thing. There's a lot of heavyweights here, guys. A lot of heavyweights, and if I'm not mistaken, there's few more that are missing here on the list. So keep that in mind as well. Let's move on. Let's see what else we got here. As we continue, you can see that there are also like Cetify. Are they on the launch pad? I don't think so, but they could be the case. I see Superverse. Superverse is a gaming project for the most part. We know Elio Trades is all over Elliot. I don't know if you guys follow his socials, but he's one of the co-founders behind it. Is this something that we should consider? Another influential individuals in a blockchain in its own right. I'm not sure. We got more VCs. Rightstream. Guys, I did a deep dive on Rightstream. Now, how Rightstream is getting involved? Well, and how's certain individuals get, like, guys, you guys really have to look into what's going on here with all these relationships. Again, so you got to spend some time, connect some few dots, and do your own due diligence. Yeah, it could be a good thing. It's something that really needs to be thought of. Okay, let's move on. Lots of calls kind of bother me. Now, I just want you to just reflect on some of the faces that you see here, and let's just keep on going down. You have the core team. As you can see, this dude right here is being spoken about quite a bit, and I did listen to some of his speeches, and I read some of his documentation, and we'll talk about him in a second, and some other key players here. Again, this is the USDT and EOS co-founder. He's talking about join EstateX. Again, it could be a good thing. Of course, he's a heavyweight. I'm going to keep it up to you guys to make that decision. But look, more advisors. So we do have let me just go back. Your strategic partners and angels, and well, angel investors. Okay. Then we come down and then we have advisors. So we have the angel investors also acting as advisors. And we have Dark Knights Labs, again, an influencer. These are all very influential individuals. Okay, and we keep on going down. EstateX influencers, more influence, same faces, influencers, angels. These guys are all over it. Okay, so again, guys, do your research, figure out if this is something that you want. Look, they're even proud of how much influence they have by posting their social counts. Guys, lots of socials. And if that's the marketing exposure that you're looking for, that's great. We know we need marketing to make projects do well. We know that. But healthy marketing is one thing, and then marketing that's just for pump and good traction at the beginning is also something to consider. Okay, so EstateX marketing partners. Okay, another the same face over and over and over. And then Superverse, how is Superverse a marketing partner? I would love to know that a little bit more. Is this clickable? Absolutely not. And Crypto Knights, another individual that we've seen many times. Oh, the Burb Nest, another individual. So these guys are all over this thing, okay, in many different ways and many titles. Again, do your research, guys, please, with regards to that. StateX traffic and value stats, pretty good. Okay, they got some that raised across seed round 4.5 million. They raised a lot of money. You can imagine how and why. Okay, so we talked about all the calls above and all of the influential individuals there. In that case, that's very self-explanatory. And their ecosystem explainer. Okay, so ESX EstateX token, the lifeblood of the EstateX system. Again, there's a dual token system. LaunchX will be the primary marketplace for every investor to buy into the newest real estate offerings. Select the property you want, a few clicks, and you can basically become an investor. Prop Exchange. The Prop Exchange is the secondary marketplace where investors are able to easily trade real estate tokens with other investors, significantly enhancing liquidity by trading, buying, and selling real estate now now a matter of minutes instead of months. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty cool. Very liquid, being able to trade your different, shares of different properties and so on. So there's a lot of information. PayX, remember we talked about this, making your real estate as liquid as possible so that you can even use it for forms of payment. Now, do they have a relationship with Visa? I'm not sure if that's actually valid or not. I don't see official documentation, but it could be possible. The university that we talked about, that's really good. I appreciate that one. And again, the dual token system, a bit of repetition here on my behalf, and a little bit here on the deck here. And then the app that they got, press features, again we talked about this, and the different value propositions that they offer, winning awards and accolades and so on, and regulatory compliance beyond real estate. Obviously compliance is key, guys, and education, I like that for sure. Powerful partnerships, okay, that's something that you have to do your due diligence and do that research. EstateX token infrastructure, L1, this is where things get a bit confusing. Is this something that they're thinking about doing in the future? This is written in 2024, so it's quite old, but this is what we got here, guys. And without a proper white paper or even a Git book, guys, and you know how standard Git books are in this space. Almost every single project has a Git book, so they need to whip their communications in shape really quickly. Marketing is definitely lacking here. Marketing communication is so important in this space. All-in-one financial management app, which is good, and thank you very much. Okay, good stuff. Okay, you got some info, guys. You could definitely go by that. And then, I'll just, like I mentioned about the white papers, usually a white paper has a section for tokenomics, a roadmap, but I was able to piece all these little things together bit by bit, section by section, and ultimately I was able to conclude a couple things. Number one, that the tokenomics is still young, and they do have a very aggressive tokenomics schedule or allocation. And I don't really, ultimately when I look at this, I see a lot of early stakeholders basically getting their hands on a lot of tokens. So pre-sale investors, remember the pre-sale investors, who could those people be? right? We talked about some of the Coles and all the familiar faces that we saw there. 32.29%, okay, are going through early pre-sale investors. And at TGE, they're getting 5% right away. That's quite a bit, especially at TGE. Okay. Launchpad and Coal Sale up to. Okay. So that's, 2.86%. But if you start adding this up, market makers, liquidity, listings, and market makers, okay, 10%. But then you have staking rewards and bonuses, 23%, 27%, which is good. And then marketing, operations, and reserves, 10%. Who's in control of these reserves? And marketing and operations? Is it governed? Is there a governance? Is there a DAO? When is there gonna be a DAO, or when is there gonna be governance? These are all things that, with early projects, without the clarity, it's very difficult to really convince people to know where these tokens are going to be. I know there's a vesting schedule. It's very clear that there's going to be, and we'll talk about the vesting schedule in a second, because they have a graph showing you how the tokens are going to be released over time. And then you have the team and advisors. So just look at the pre-sale investors, which, we know who potentially those could be: VCs, Coles, angels, and those individuals. And then you have the team and the advisors getting up almost 16%. That's a significant amount, guys. And if you really look at both of these, all the categories that align with early stakeholders, guys, that's way over 50%. That's like 50% plus. That's a lot. That's a significant amount. Okay, so let's move down. Release schedule. You can see that there is, a bit of a release schedule. TGE, obviously some being released, and then a lock period, and then linear release after that. That's a very typical thing. So that's fine. And you can see how the ramp up, guys. It's crazy. Like all of a sudden, whoosh, straight up, and we're right into it. We're right in the thick of things. You're going to see a lot of tokens getting unlocked in the next year or so. Okay, so that means you're going to have a lot of sell pressure, especially at the top of a bull run, especially if we start to see the altcoins do well and EstateX does really, really well. Your competition, the individuals that got in early, all the early stakeholders, are going to be the people looking to take profit. All altcoins, every single one retraces 90+% in a bear market. And because of this being new, with a lot of early stakeholders, they will take profit, and you will see massive retracements. Okay, so because of this, so be very careful here, guys. This is not a multi-cycle hold whatsoever. Okay, so your competition are the early stakeholders, and we've discussed a little bit about this. Now, I did try to do a bit of research with regards to the tokens and all of that. I just want to back this up a little bit, and we'll go back to this chart in a second. If you go here, a lot of their data is missing. So you can see the on-chain market cap, circulating supply is missing, their price is missing. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that it's EstateX's fault per se, but this is a bit of an issue, because where do we actually get our primary data, particularly with the bullish side of everything, which is the base chain application? The fact that they're listed on base is great. A lot of people would be bullish about it. They come on the base scanner to kind of check out the primary data, and then it doesn't exist, so they got to fix this quick, or something needs to give. But what was concerning me most, and again, it's all about transparency, guys, and the lack of white paper and Gitbook or anything kind of bothers me. You can see that the top 5 wallets hold a crazy amount of tokens, and I don't see them being contract token wallets. You can see that this is the only one. The rest of them are some random wallets. Now, they could be owned by the team, and marketing and all of this, but guess what they should be doing? Their white paper should have every single wallet that is allocated to these different categories, and it should be well defined as to which one it is. And because their white paper is a PDF that has scattered information everywhere, it's so difficult to actually make anything very relevant. So what we really need to do is kind of clean things up and communicate a lot better. It's definitely not up to standard. I don't know what this is. It's 27% in this wallet, 10 here, 10 here, 6 here, 6 here. Crazy amount of tokens all into the top 5. It's too much, guys, for me. Without transparency, you guys got to do your due diligence, figure this out. I did the same thing on Solana. Token holders are coming down. I don't know why. Are they going over to to base. I don't know. This is pretty much all I got here, and there's not a lot happening here on Sol anyway. The majority of the application is on base. Now we got in here in the roadmap. I was able to get my hands on some roadmap on the Discord that they got going here, not the Discord, the Telegram. Again, it's all scattered information all over the place. So you got Q2 all the way down to Q1 of 2026. So I appreciate this. I appreciate that they're giving us a roadmap with some timeframes, because usually teams don't do this, and that's a bit of an issue because we need to know, pretty much where the team is going in the next little while, and that gives us a bit of that confirmation as to where they're putting their human capital, their resources, both capital and so on. What are they trying to achieve in the next little while? So kudos to them for giving this, but also it needs to be documented properly. Now, if we get on to a couple other things here, let's take a look at their socials. 300,000 followers, which is pretty hefty. Not bad for such a small project. Okay, so it's pretty good. And you can see that they're pretty active here. Not bad. Definitely not bad. I would have loved to see a little bit more activity on some of the posts. Some of the posts are pretty good. Like this got 900 likes. That's pretty good. 300 retweets, more, almost 400. That's pretty good. But there are some that are lacking. Okay, so but overall pretty good, not bad. I appreciate. Now their medium page, there's nothing happening here for a good while. That's unfortunate, guys. I'd rather them not even have one because it looks like it's an abandoned platform. The last one that they posted was 2024 in July, over a year ago, and then before that another year has passed. So it's just not appropriate. I'd rather them not have it. And they have a perfect use case for this medium page by explaining some of those partnerships and those arrangements and all of that they have. Give those details out there. That's a great way to even rank on Google for search and all that kind of stuff. So their marketing needs to be improved significantly. Let's move on. This is the team. You got a team that I found here on Crypto Rank. Their LinkedIn accounts are definitely there. Let's kind of look into them. Let's see what they got. They got a team right here. People. Let's see here. A little bit slow today, but okay. We got 13 associate members. On their website, they said they had 60. Okay, which means that some of them are not listed, which is fine. The majority of the important ones are here. Okay, so you can see this dude right here. We'll talk about him in a second. Let's continue going on. Okay, so this is, I think, the main face of the project. And if you continue going down, he's from Amsterdam. What else do we got here? He's a self-employed founder. This is experience. That's all he got. He's a self-employed EstateX founder. He has no other, experience within the space that I can see, unless he does, and he didn't list it, unfortunately. And then you look at his education. He's a Bachelor of Applied Science. It's not, that doesn't really apply to his to blockchain, or software development, or maybe a little bit of business, and that's about it. Entrepreneurship seems to be his background, a bit of a background there, which is good. Developing strategic solutions, which is fine. Skills, founder of X. That's all you got, guys. There's nothing more here. So is it a good thing? It could be just all around well-rounded individual, and that's about it, I guess. Let's move on. And then you got Thomas, co-founder, and then we scroll down and you got, that's it really here. EstateX full-time, that's it. And you got software and 3 skills: natural nature, science, innovation, management. That's about it. Co-founder, and that's it. That concludes his experience and his education. And it's the team so far seems very, very young, right? And then you have a heavyweight, okay, which you start to see, okay, this for sure is the individual that's going to handle the tech, which it is. He's the CTO of EstateX, blockchain innovation, patents, cybersecurity, C++, Rust, Go, Web3 developer, and 2024 WEF technology pioneer. Okay, so he's the heavyweight with regards to tech. So that's the talent there. That's where he fills the gap, and that's where we could expect a lot of the innovation and the implementation of Web3 to come into play. Okay, so that's good. But then this dude right here, I just want, before we get into him, this dude right here is quite interesting, because this is where a lot of people are getting bullish behind, because as a ex CEO, I want to get my facts straight here. the chief executive officer of real estate Remax, England and Wales full time for about 4 years and 4 months. So this individual decided to, retire or quit his job or resign or whatever it is, move on and become the CEO of EstateX, which I found to be quite interesting. Now, that could be the fact, but I also want to present another thing. I've heard many of his speeches. I've heard what he's said on, a snippet on X, and he refers to himself as an individual that is going to be focusing on Web 2. Okay, and he repeats that significantly. Now, I'm wondering if this is his way of securing his stance that his focus is Web 2 and not the Web 3 aspect of things. Web 2, he's very successful. It's very, very, very clear that he's able to navigate his Web 2, um, you know, uh, application in the sense that he can find physical real estate and sell physical real estate very, very well. He's the CEO, of Remax in England, which is obviously great. But then he makes it very clear that that's his role, Web 2 only. Very clear. And I've watched his videos, and that's what he goes by. So who's to say that the Web3 aspect of all of this is also going to work out? He's not backing it. He's not saying that he's going Web3. He's sticking with Web2. Now, I could be misinterpreting him, but he made it very clear over and over and over that he's Web2. Okay, so that's what I'm getting from him. And then another thing that I'm getting from him is that his international expansion partner, another real estate company, presently and within the last month, Hybrid. So I'm kind of confused. Are you full on here, full time? You can't be full time in two places. You're obviously focusing on two different things. So I started to look into what this is, and if you look at what XEXP Realty is, it almost seems like there's another crypto based project happening here. Um, it's most brokerage, the last independent real estate brokerage in the world. Okay. And you keep on going down. And if you start looking into some of the Web3 founder and business development, and you can see a little bit of crypto happening here. So I'm kind of confused. Like, is he spreading his resources thin? Is he, double dipping? How can he be in two places at once and putting that much effort into both? Resources are not infinite in this case. So I know in this case I'm kind of questioning, his focus. Is this the case? I think that he could potentially be doing both, and that's totally fine if that's the case. But again, I don't know, guys. You do your research. I'm just throwing it out there. All right, guys. Let's take a look. You guys know that I do release a infographic that I'm going to share with you on social. So let's take a look at that in a second. All right. So here we go. So you can see that some of the details here will give you a better understanding about the project. The ecosystem, is not it's not active at the current moment. So the wait list is on a wait list only pretty much. And there's a lot of speculative aspects about the project, which is great. Obviously, a lot of upside potential. As soon as they get things working, obviously, and pumping, and everything's looking pretty good and active, lots of users. I'm expecting the ecosystem to do very well. I'm expecting it to be 10 out of 10. But at the current moment, it's not the case. Everything is still very speculation, and it's on a wait list. So there's no choice but to say, launch X, estate X, pay, tokenize X, capital X, estate X University, estate X World launching soon. All of these aspects are still in speculation. So it is what it is. Okay, guys. Now the utility ultimately, again, without ecosystem, there's not much utility, but at least we can say this: the token is what it is, and it fuels the estate X ecosystem, used as collateral, rewards, and payouts. So it's very typical. I expect in the future to have a little bit more utility, particularly with regards to governance. And at the current moment, there's nothing really there. So I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 because at least it's well described, well established. Roadmap clear and well defined. Time frame expectations are all there. 10 out of 10 for that. The team is young. The team is super young. Founders have no blockchain experience. However, there are some individuals there on the team that do, which is enough. But I question, why are the founders in this business? Why Web3? I don't see any, background or any reason for them to be that interested when they just coming out the gate, and there's no explanation. There's none whatsoever. It doesn't really make sense to me. So for me, I feel like the founders need a little bit more detail. Maybe they don't. Maybe they're omitting some of the details on their LinkedIn pages, which I feel like they shouldn't. We need to get to know them a little bit more, especially early phase. In early phases in this project. What else do we really have to see, right, other than what the founders and the team is all about? Real estate guru has other obligations and is focused on Web 2. For me, that bothers me. His other obligations, and he always speaking about Web 2 and not Web 3. And I understand his bread and butter and core competency is Web 2, and it has been for so many years. And kudos to him. But this is not a Web 2 project. And although he's going to be bringing physical real estate to the team, or to the project, or to the table altogether, but where does this team benefit, as far as a Web3 project goes? Like, how did where did the value come in for the Web3? And that's a big problem. Why not just make this a Web2 project and be done with it? Why does he need Web3? He doesn't. He's very successful doing Web2. So this bothers me a little bit. Okay, so just keep that in mind. The team, and especially with the marketing, honestly, I'm, I don't know what else to say. Communications, it's not ready. Product market fit is not there. I don't see much happening, unfortunately, with regards to the team. The team has a little bit of work to do. The socials are decent. However, the engagement should be a little bit better. I do see a little bit better, more engagement in the last little while. That's great to see. Telegram is full of noise and spam. I went on the Telegram to try to ask a few questions. They designed it so that there's a bot that continuously is posting when people buy on chain, and that is so distracting and unnecessary. That is such old way of marketing and making and filling the space on Telegram to make it seem active. I would say that for me is a negative. And the Discord is and Medium pages are not even utilized. Unfortunately, the marketing team has not really discovered the fact that Discord has a lot. It's a much better place to foster a community and grow a strong community based on high quality engagement. Telegram is just a bunch of noise, and unfortunately, they support it by putting bots on their Telegram. Very unfortunate. So that's that, guys. What else do we got here? Lots of repetition in bots, guys. They got to get rid of that. The tokenomics, I'm not feeling it. Early stakeholders represent over 50% of the token distribution. Top wallets hold the majority of the tokens. Emission ramps up now and cools off over a year and a half later. That bothers me, guys. Tokenomics for me, it's a bit rough. I'm not, when I see that kind of stuff, I see I'm competing with early stakeholders. I don't want to compete with those guys. As a retail investor, you do not want to compete with early stakeholders in any sense. So that's that. The relationships, lots of relationships, influencers and as partners, logos with no explanations, unfortunately. So this is a big problem. When I see all kinds of calls that are influencers and influencers that I've seen in the past, that were belong to other projects that didn't do so well and still hanging around there, for me bothers me. So again, do your research, guys. If it interests you and you think that's a good thing, all the power to you. But ultimately, please investigate and do that research. Exchanges, this is the beginning, obviously, so they're not going to have that much liquidity, very low liquidity at the current moment. All they have is MEXC, HTX, Kraken, and which is good, and Radium, which is the DEX, overall on Solana. Obviously, very low liquidity at the current moment. And as a trader or as an individual worrying about what happens in the bull run, the top of the bull run, and you're trying to sell, you want liquidity. And that's my major concern. Is it going to be as liquid as we want it to be when it matters, which is at the top of the bull run when we want to sell? I don't know, guys. So there's a lot of interesting aspects here, guys, and of course I had to get some of the details with regards to its market cap on various websites, Coin Market Cap and CoinGecko and Dex Tools and so on. So feel free to check that out. I got this here for you guys so you can kind of see. You can see right now the supply is very limited. It's only at about 8% of the max supply, 7 billion tokens of max supply. And I know that's going to be a negative thing, especially with the retail investors. 7 billion, just that number, they don't like it. And the fact that so many tokens need to be released still is a bit of an issue. Over time, the lots of dilution will happen with a proper vesting schedule, obviously. But it's a fact is a fact with so many tokens running through early stakeholders. It bothers me. And then I concluded my verdict, guys. My verdict is as such. A few little details here that I would like to share with you guys. Let me just scooch this over a little bit. Just as a reminder, I'm going to have this available on all the socials, um, on X and so on. So feel free to check it out. So it's part of the DeFi real world asset tokenized real estate narrative type of thing. It's on base chain. It has liquidity on Solana. It was not deployed on Binance Smart Chain or BNB Chain, although it's all over the place. If you can see it on all its documentation, that was the case. It's not the case. Okay, so it's pre-sale 32%, Launchpad and Coles sale 3%, teams and advisors 15%, and that's a lot going early calls and stakeholders. Crazy amounts for me. The top wallets hold up to 70% of the tokens. The top 10, top 5 holds up to 60% of the tokens. You can see how much the concentration. Now, my problem is this: it could be totally valid concentration. And I understand that because the project is still very young. Only 8% of the tokens are in circulation. But then be transparent about the wallets. Who are these wallets? Are they multi-sig? What's up with them? Give me the details. You need to provide communication here. Documentation is needed, and it needs to be up to date, and transparency needs to be included. Dual token system, prop X equals security token for fractional real estate ownership. So just keep that in mind. Staking on the way, which for me is great for DeFi because it is a bit of a DeFi play here. No DAO or governance, a bit of an issue for me because of so many tokens being out there. At least give some power to the people, right? Particularly so many tokens out there to, early stakeholders. No dominant first mover advantage in the space with regards to this narrative, which means they could definitely fill that gap. There's no project out there that's really dominating within the real estate scene. So EstateX could definitely be that in the project. It just, time will tell. Let's see how they get going. Product market fit is questionable. Ecosystem projects are not live. Marketing communication needs some attention. I would say much more than some, a lot of attention. Okay, like they need a pro up in there that knows how to whip things together here. Needs a proper white paper. Communication package needs to complete a complete overhaul. Okay, so like I said, I have experience in this space. I've been here for a long time. I've done many, many deep dives, and I've never seen a project do with this type of documentation. Okay, so that EstateX with the market cap of PRO Propy, I would say it's an easy 4x just to catch up, but why not more? Ultimately, it could reach much higher, right? Because it is a new project, new narrative. We didn't really get an alt season, so a lot of these alts are at the bottom of the range, bear market bottoms. No fresh capital. Total market cap has been stagnant, right around $3.3 trillion or something like that for months and months and months. As soon as we see more market cap or more capital flow into this space, the question is, could ESX attract more of that capital? Sure, why not? It could. It could do very well. It has the pumpamental effect. It's got a strong community. Lots of calls, lots of pumpamental aspects there. Socials, a lot of people with calls with large social accounts, could definitely pump up. 100%. VCs would be loving it if it does. Okay, so be that individual that follows smart money. Make sure that you see what the VCs are and their intention is to pump it all up, and then at the end of the day, bear market style is to come down 90+%. Okay, keep that in mind. Unfortunately, the ranking for me is 3 out of 10, given the fact that there's tons of speculation here, and there needs to be a complete overhaul for professionalism within this space. Just to summarize that. All right, guys, I know you're here to talk about charts as well, so let's take a look at what's going on with the overall chart here. EstateX, it pumped up and it came right back down, to some critical levels. I'm just gonna say this: there's not a lot of volume across this space, and EstateX is definitely not one of them. It doesn't have much volume. Now we have to understand, based on its market cap, it's easy to see lots of trading volume, because it's a small market cap. But generally speaking, guys, we're not getting much in this space in the last little while, and it's not exclusive to EstateX. Let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail. So the dip, we see this dip. Now the question is, it's over. We can't really judge it on the daily. Let's get onto the 6 hour. Maybe here, maybe. Okay, let's stay here for a bit. Look, I'm just gonna say this: if you're gonna use this the 6 hour as your time frame, this zone right into here is so critical. You can see that we even got tops, but the most important for me right now are these bottoms. And the way the momentum is, we got overbought already. Unfortunately, we got overbought and we're slowly retracing. Volatility looks very, very weak because we got an impulsive response right into here, the bullish response that was so weak that it ended up being pretty much a pump, an exit pump. It pumped up, quick sell-off by the wick. You can see that quick, strong sell-off on that wick. And then it quickly came right back down, back to the bottoms. My biggest concern is that this thing, based on what happened with the volatility, is that this thing comes down and gets oversold. If it gets oversold, there's no doubt in my mind that we're going to come down and hunt other order blocks. I can see that there's an empty volume gap in here that could cause a bit of an issue. If we fall through, we're coming down to this empty volume gap where there's no resistance, and that's where the emotional level is. That's where the liquidity is at. I can see the price falling to about 1.2, 1.3 cents, and that for me is the only level that I may consider as a point of interest to potentially buy and accumulate. At this current moment right now, it's not bad because again, your invalidation is very clear. If we break below this horizontal, this thick yellow line, if we break below, get out, because it could mean that we're coming down, and that's basically a confirmed lower low as if we do break down below that level, because right now we're using this level as horizontal support. But if we go in here and accumulate and then manipulate, and then obviously maybe it might not even be manipulation, it might be just continuation after an exchange of hands right here, sideways, and then continue. Then we have to wait for a market structure that suggests reversal in oversold conditions, which usually is the best time to buy and accumulate. So in summary, guys, at this current moment, I'm not that interested. I'm not that interested. It's not oversold. It's not at a discount that I'm interested in. I want to see liquidity being hunted first, and emotions. Right now, the emotion is all pure pumpage, and this pumpage easily can be induced, especially with the small market cap like what ESX has. Okay, so keep that in mind, guys. I'm going to keep it short and sweet with this one because literally there's not much else to say with regards to price action other than if it holds here, great. Maybe another exit pump, maybe another bounce. But if it doesn't, guys, I'm waiting for a market structure shift at these levels, the nice Class A bullish divergence in oversold conditions, and then I might consider buying the dip. Guys, if I've offered you any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor. Slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. All right, guys, take care. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.